Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Thursday evening, January 9, 2025. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak months of Atlantic hurricane season. That's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Please ensure that you guys utilize the progress bar that's located at the bottom of the video, as well as the timestamps that are located not only in the comments section but the video description, so that you can skip to the points in the video that you want to see the most in order to save time, because you know that the videos over here with the Jamaica can be very long. Leave a comment down below letting me know what the has been like in your area recently. Also, feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so we're going to be looking at some expert insights, and first and foremost we have to look at the US National Weather Service's Climate Prediction Center, and they have officially announced that we are in a La Nina like condition. We're finally now being declared to be in a La Nina like pattern, and they've also stated, and I'd like for you to keep in mind that this came out today 9 a.m. sharp, by the way. They've stated La Nina conditions are present and are expected to persist through February into April 2025. A 59% chance at that, with a transition to end zone neutral likely during March to May 2025. A 60% chance at that. A La Nina advisory is now in effect, and they've also highlighted this bar graph right here, highlighting this that we're seeing, that we're definitely in a La Nina like pattern. December, January, February, and then it's gonna be starting to taper off as we continue to go throughout the year. January into February, March, still in a La Nina like pattern, and February, March, April, still in a La Nina like pattern. Then, just as they stated in the caption, excuse me, sometime around March is going to be going back to a neutral like pattern regarding the sea surface temperatures across the eastern to the central Pacific. And we know all of that has an influence on the weather across the Atlantic. We also have the famous Phillips Klotzbach, who is actually a meteorologist at Colorado State University, and from time to time he makes some accurate posts as well. He also reiterated that the La Nina is officially here, according to what the NOAA and the National Weather Service has stated. And he also added, odds of El Nino based on latest NOAA forecast for peak of 2025 Atlantic hurricane season, August through to October, are 21%. And he also reiterated what I just said. El Nino typically reduces Atlantic hurricane activity via wind shear increases. We've been talking about this. We know all of that has to do with this that we see on this map. Excuse me. So we're talking about the sea surface temperatures, and we're referring to El Nino, La Nina, and neutral like patterns. And we're focusing our attention right here across the eastern to the central Pacific Ocean, where we see that we definitely have a La Nina right now, especially right here across the central Pacific, right there to the south of Hawaii. And when we have a La Nina like pattern, we have more rising air over this side of the world, the Atlantic, more sinking air over this side of the world, definitely suppressing the formation of storms in general. But what the Climate Prediction Center, or the NOAA, is saying in general is that we're going to be transitioning from a La Nina back to a neutral pattern, so more whites into slight yellows, and then more possibly into an El Nino like pattern. So it could mean less systems in general. Definitely contradicts what Andy Hazelton posted a couple days ago for sure. It's going to be interesting to see how it all turns out. We even have Ben Noel, We always talk about the meteorologists here that make some accurate posts from time to time, stating that the latest ECMWS seasonal guidance shows a La Nina like pattern quickly reversing in early 2025 and an El Nino like signal developing toward the middle of the year. And he also stated this will have consequences on Atlantic hurricane season and global temperature and moisture trends. And he highlighted the map right here, showing the cooler than average temperatures definitely dissipating and reversing and showing more warmer than average sea surface temperatures. We'll see exactly what unfolds as the year progresses. We know these long range models are not set in stone at all. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. But in this case, excuse me, let's see if this is actually correct for sure. Alright, so we're going to be looking at what the latest Euro and the latest GFS supercomputer models are showing. As usual, we're going to be focusing our attention right here at the top, looking at the timestamp going all the way out to 168 hours. That's the next 7 days. We're going to be looking for this that we see on the key on the right. The reds, oranges, yellows, and greens represents inches of rainfall. And we're going to be focusing our attention right here across Jamaica. Let's see exactly what's going to be in store for us. So not much change, if not clear conditions with all of the whites. It's going to be more of those slight greens, especially across the north coast. That has been the case. So Saturday, definitely little to nothing at all. But Sunday, look at that. We see some greens to the north of the island. Well, across the northern portion of the island. That's for Sunday, January 12. Very interesting. We'll see if the latest GFS is showing that. Heading into Monday, not much of anything across the island. Heading into Tuesday now. Something similar to Monday for sure. Heading into Wednesday, we start to see some more greens that represent isolated shores on the north coast. And then we're going to be stopping it right here at the end of the 168 hours. So this is valid for 12Z on a Thursday, January 16, 2025. That's 7 a.m. And we can clearly see a cold front right here, stretching all the way down with this moisture from the northeastern section of the North Atlantic all the way down into portions of Central America. Some of this moisture definitely going to be affecting especially northern parishes in Jamaica if this map verifies from the Euro. Let us see what the latest GFS is showing for the same time period. So heading into Friday, not much of anything, just like what the Euro was showing. Saturday, we see some isolated shores to the south of us, as well as across eastern Jamaica. Very interesting. Didn't see that on the Euro. But heading into Sunday, not much of anything. Heading into Monday now. Well, hold on. Let's go back to Monday. Well, not much of anything. Something similar to Sunday, actually. Heading into Wednesday, we see some moisture, especially across northeastern parishes for sure. Heading into Thursday. So we're stopping it right here. Excuse me. At the end of the 168 hours. So this is valid for 18Z on Thursday, January 16th. So that's 1 p.m. And we can make out some moisture right here, stretching all the way down into portion of Hispaniola. We also see some moisture across northeastern Jamaica. We see a lot of it across the southwestern Caribbean, near Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama. We also see some moisture right there off the Yucatan Peninsula's east coast, as well as section of Belize and Honduras. Either way, both accumulated precipitation forecast maps are in consensus that the next 7 days are going to be bringing some amount of rainfall, as we can see by all of this. The greens, the yellows, oranges, reds, not to mention the reds. Now the reds represents up to 1 inch of rainfall. The burgundies represents up to 2 inches of rainfall. The purples into the pinks, 3 to 5 inches of rainfall. And the peach color is anywhere, excuse me, from 6 all the way up to maybe 8 inches of rainfall. Excuse me. Alright, so according to both the Euro and the GFS, we can clearly see that the most rainfall within the next 7 days should still be plaguing the waters of the Gulf of Mexico, section of the Yucatan Peninsula, Guatemala, Belize, northern Honduras, eastern Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia. Some rainfall across western, northern, and eastern Venezuela, sections of the ABC Islands getting in some of the action too. So too, Guyana, Suriname, French Guyana, and we see that on both the Euro and the GFS models. We also see some rainfall that's going to be in store for a portion of the eastern Caribbean, anywhere from Trinidad and Tobago northward, maybe even affecting sections of Puerto Rico, the US and British Virgin Islands, and sections of Hispaniola. It's going to be interesting to see how all of that unfolds. Either way, in terms of Jamaica's forecast, we can clearly see that there's not much change. Northern Jamaica is the recipient of the brunt of the rainfall within the next 7 days. The euro right here showing all the way up to Thursday, January 16. We can see the blues into the greens that represents anywhere from 1 millimeter of rainfall all the way up to 23, especially across Portland right there, millimeters of rainfall. The GFS starting to get on board. GFS wasn't that impressed, but now at the end of this next 7 days, we're starting to see the rainfall increasing up to 24 millimeters. Definitely kind of in line with what the euro was showing. And clearly we see that the brunt of the rainfall should be affecting Portland as represented by the green color. And they're used to it. They're the wettest parish on the island. 'Tis the season, especially with that northeasterly flow, bring a lot of rainfall, especially in the relief rainfall range. Excuse me. Alright, so let us take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening. We can see that we have a blue spike line right here associated with a cold front stretching all the way from northern portion of North Atlantic all the way down to the north of the Bahamas. We can also see a frontal system right here stretching all the way from northern portion of North Atlantic all the way down into portion of the Greater Antilles, where it has induced a trough across eastern Cuba as well as Hispaniola right there to the north of Puerto Rico. We see another trough right here to the south of the Dominican Republic, as represented by those broken orange lines. And we see the line associated with the intertropical convergence zone right here of the coast of Africa all the way down to the east of northeastern, to east of the northern portion of South America for sure. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can make out all of these entities. First of all, the clouds associated with that frontal system stretching all the way down to the north of the Bahamas, just like what we saw on the surface map. We can also make out the clouds associated with that other frontal system with the trough that has induced across the Greater Antilles for sure. And we can even make out the trough to the south of the Dominican Republic with those patches of clouds. Look at this. We can even make out the clouds associated with the intertropical convergence zone right here to the east of northern South America. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Thursday, January 9, 2025. It was stated that rain was in the forecast for parts of some northern parishes of northern Jamaica during the morning and afternoon of Thursday. And we know northern Jamaica, we're talking about those parishes like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland. And what ended up happening? We saw a post that was made on our Twitter page with the Jamaica at around 12:45 p.m. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that these posts aren't only made here on our Twitter page with the Jamaica, but they're also made on our Instagram page with the .Jamaica, on our TikTok page with the Jamaica, and on our Facebook page with the Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as we make posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So look at the visible satellite images showing that we're indeed getting in on a buildup of clouds, especially across northern parishes. So anywhere from Hanover eastward, we're talking about St. James, Trelawney, section of St. Anne, section of St. Mary, Portland too. The brunt of it seemed to be across the northwest. Hanover, St. James, Trelawney for sure might have had some isolated shower activity within those clouds too. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before the sun went down, before we started to lose the sunlight, we can definitely see the blanket of clouds across Hanover, St. James, Trelawney. We also saw some of these clouds spilling into sections of some southern parishes for sure, so too sections of St. Mary and Portland, but not much of anything in terms of any thunderstorm cloud and cumulonimbus across the island today. But we can make out the high cirrus clouds being streaked up towards the northeast. That has been the case for the past couple of weeks, and that seems to be, it seems like it's going to be continuing. If we take a look at the very latest cam from the Barbican, we can see, from See Jamaica's YouTube channel, we can see Barbican right here at around 2:45 p.m. Definitely experiencing sunny conditions, just as predicted. Didn't expect to see much activity in terms of bad weather on the south coast today. Barbican is in St. Andrew. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to see more live streams like this, just visit See Jamaica on YouTube. They have not only Barbican, but the Crossroads Cam, Halfway Tree Cam, the Panoramic City View, the Kingston Harbor, and even the flat bridge in St. Catherine. And they're planning on increasing the amount of cameras that they have in and around the island. So if I were you, I'd subscribe just in case they install a camera near you. If we take a look at the accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours from the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website, we can clearly see some slight shade of, let's say, grays into purples. That represents the low end of the scale in terms of rainfall. So maybe some of these clouds that were bringing overcast skies to section of northern Jamaica might have brought in some amount of isolated shore activity. And we have at least one comment here from Active 4081 stating sunny conditions more than likely in his parish of Clarendon. Thanks for the comment, Active. And if we take a look at the very latest still image from the Weather Nerds website, we can see that the latest images as of 0015 UTC. So this just came out at 7:15 p.m. And considering that it's 7:26 p.m. right now, this just came out 11 minutes ago. And we can see not much activity taking place across the island as we speak. We see some dots of grays that represent some cloud cover. Most of that has to do with the upper level cirrus clouds being streaked off towards the northeast. Nothing in terms of rainfall taking place, and we definitely have the Cuban Doppler radar imagery right here to confirm, showing that the latest image is as of 7:20 p.m. and we don't see much in the way of rainfall across Jamaica, western portion of Haiti, or Cuba at all. And even the Guantanamo Bay Cuban naval radar imagery is confirming this. Eastern Cuba in the clear, western Haiti, northeastern Jamaica in the clear. Even the Cayman radar not showing much of anything at all. Definitely dry times as we speak. Southern Cuba, the Cayman Islands, western Jamaica in the clear too. And if we take a look at the very latest from See Jamaica's YouTube channel, showing halfway through, we can see that not much of anything is happening right now in terms of bad weather. We can see people walking, going about their business, people in their vehicles going about their business. Nothing alarming right now, and I'm sure some people are grateful that there's no bad weather taking place as we speak. If we take a look at the temperatures right now, we can see that we have 24 degrees Celsius in both Montego Bay and Kingston, and by about 4 a.m. on Friday, temperature should dip down to about 23 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 22 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is valid for 18Z on Friday. When calculated, that's about 1 p.m. on Friday, and we can see Jamaica right here embedded in the gray color that we can see from the key on the right that represents average. We don't see it up into the yellows, oranges, and reds that represents above average temperatures. We don't see it in the blues and greens that represents below average temperatures. Most of the below average temperatures are right here to the north of the Eastern Caribbean, especially right here across Texas and section of the northern portion of Mexico. Very interesting. Either way, average temperatures are in store for Jamaica on Friday. I know the average temperature for the month of January across Jamaica is around 86.5 degrees Fahrenheit. And when that's calculated to degrees Celsius, that's about 30.6 degrees Celsius. So, 30.2 degrees Celsius for January. And I guess that's going to be the case for tomorrow's temperature. Keep in mind that the temperatures, as usual, are going to be getting low, especially during the early morning hours. So cooler than average temperatures are expected during those times. And we're indeed grateful that my JPS Online's Twitter page is still not showing much of anything in terms of any maintenance outages that are in store for any parish at all. Everybody is happy about that, because we know that when we have power outages, it can definitely cause the heat to be more, more exacerbated. Definitely, making us sweat because we don't have our fan or our AC to cool us down. So we're grateful that as of right now, not much of anything is taking place in terms of outages. And we also have the tips here to beat the heat, just in case tomorrow is still a bit too hot for you. It states here, when outside, seek shade. Eat fresh. Try eating cold food such as salads and fruits. Rest. Make sure you get enough sleep and rest if you're feeling tired. Soak. Take a cool shower or bath to help you cool down. And I cannot stress enough how important it is to always stay hydrated. Drink a lot of water throughout the day, even if you're not thirsty. Put away those sugar drinks. Drink water instead. If we take a look at the dry air map, we know the dry air is represented by what we see here on the key on the bottom. That's the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and the whites within those reds. And we can see a lot of dry air stretching all the way from Africa across the main development region into the Caribbean, the Gulf of Mexico, off the east coast of the United States. A lot of dry air taking place, lots of dry sinking air, definitely making it hard for these thunderstorms to form, definitely putting a cap on the weather across the Atlantic. Definitely stable weather as we speak. And the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Friday has most of the slight browns represent the Saharan dust right here across the main development region. As we can see, North America, the Bahamas, the Caribbean, and Northern South America as well as Central America are in the clear for 2 p.m. on Friday. Taking a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are adamant that the most in the way of the intense waves are going to be right here to the north of Hispaniola, to the north of Puerto Rico, where we see the purple into the burgundy colors that represent anywhere from 2 all the way up to maybe 5 meter wave heights, while the Caribbean going to be getting on those light shades of blues to dark shades of blues that represents anywhere from 0.5 meter wave height all the way up to 1.5 meter wave heights. On Jamaica's north coast tomorrow, 1.2 meter wave heights, the south coast 1.1 meter wave heights, and that's because of the winds that are expected. Clearly there's a ridge of high pressure somewhere in here off the east coast of Florida that's responsible for sending the winds around in that fashion. Look at the curve. You can see more of a northeasterly kind of flow through the greater Antilles right here through the northeastern Caribbean from the north. Not seeing any strong wind direction right here across the eastern Caribbean, but clearly to the south of Jamaica and Hispaniola, more from the easterly to from the northeast down into the southwestern portion of the Caribbean right there, curving north from the western Caribbean all the way up into the Gulf of Mexico right there. And if we take a closer look at Jamaica regarding the wind, we can see that we're going to be getting on more of a northeasterly kind of flow, especially on the north coast. Have the least amount of winds right here on the south coast for sure. So that's where all of the air could pile up maybe during the afternoon. Who knows? Maybe some isolated shores. We'll see. Either way, if we're going to get something, I wouldn't be surprised if some of that northeasterly wind brings about some isolated shores to section of northern Jamaica. But the thing is, the precipitation forecast maps are not showing that at all. Both for the morning and the afternoon, which is being shown here 3 p.m., we're seeing more in the way of whites across the island. So I guess the dry air is definitely dominant. Not seeing much in the way of blues representing rainfall across the island at all. Hold on, let me load up the Euro model. Alright, here we go. The Euro basically showing the same thing as the GFS. Not seeing much in the way of any form of rainfall right there. Either way, we see the accumulated precipitation showing some slight greens across the northeast. Some of this could be what's going to be taking place tonight into early tomorrow morning. We'll see what happens regarding all of that, but unlikely we won't even get to see it because most of that is taking place while we're sleeping. But clearly we can see that not much change. Is still the north coast that's getting in on the brunt of the slight rainfall that could take place within the next 24 hours. And it's expected, it's the dry season in the month of January. Across Kingston, we usually receive up to 20 millimeters of rainfall during this month. In Montego Bay, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the bottom, we usually receive up to 3 inches of rainfall. That's about 75 millimeters of rainfall. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to find out what your specific parish usually receives for the month of January or for the entire year, you can visit www.weather-and-climate.com, and that website will show you that information. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. Alright, so we can see right here that there's going to be some amount of cloud cover and rainfall still plaguing portions of the Yucatan Peninsula, Belize, Guatemala, Honduras getting in on the action too. We see that strong flow from the north across Florida into Cuba associated with that frontal system. We see the clouds associated with the trough to the south of the Dominican Republic, and it's this trough that's going to be pushing westward towards Jamaica. Definitely going to be bringing rainfall to the waters to the south of us. And who knows, maybe that northern ear right there could clip eastern Jamaica, bring us some isolated shores. We'll see exactly what unfolds during that time. Either way, let's look at what's happening across the northeastern Caribbean now. You can see some rain as represented by the slight greens across northern Puerto Rico as we speak. Some rain bands right here to the west of the US Virgin Islands. Not seeing much activity across the Leeward Islands. But if we take a look at the Barbados radar, we can make out some rainfall to the east and to the south of Barbados. Some rainfall to the north of there too. And we see that majority of it is dissipating before it even gets towards any of the islands right here. Martinique, Dominica, Guadeloupe. Looking down, we can see something similar happening to the east of Trinidad and Tobago, but we do see some band right here to the east of Tobago. Who knows, maybe some of that will make it over there tonight. Taking a look at the weather via Doppler radar images, don't see much activity across the Yucatan or Belize, but we do see the moisture pushing in from northeast to southwest into portion of southeastern Nicaragua, section of Costa Rica getting in on the action too. We also see section of Colombia getting in on some isolated shores as we speak. And if we take a look at where the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS and this map from the Euro are both showing that the most rainfall from now up until 10 p.m. on Friday should be plaguing portions of Puerto Rico, the waters to the south of Hispaniola, sections of southeastern Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, sections of western Colombia. We also see sections of northeastern Suriname and French Guyana, according to the Euro. Wow, GFS showing something similar. And maybe some isolated shores, as you can see across Belize, and I guess that is basically it. And I hope that you noticed that both the Euro and the GFS models are in agreement with this forecast. I know that when they're in agreement like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.